You're listening to episode 112. Should I say 112 or 112?
112.
You're listening to episode... I'm going to call it down just a little bit. I probably broke your soundboard. Sorry. You're listening to episode 112 of the D6 podcast.
I don't know anything more important in our society or in the kingdom of God than to help the church, help the family.
Discipleship is not an event, it's a way of life.
And one day it just hit me that discipleship at home was not about doing more. It was about inviting Christ into what we were already doing.
The goal of family ministry is not families sitting on the couch holding hands and singing Kumbaya. The ultimate goal is families that love God, love people, and make disciples of all peoples.
So that's why you're here. You're here to say 1 hour a week, as significant and as awesome as it is, we know that it's not enough and we want to be intentional with every hour.
You're listening to the D6 podcast. Here's your hosts, Ron Hunter and Jeremy Lee.
This is the family ministry podcast that helps you connect the church and home. It's still summer, Ron. These ministers are still going to summer camp, and a couple of episodes we were grumpy old men talking
That's
about
right.
Camp.
Love it.
Because we remember when camp was camp, when not all-inclusive vacation.
That's right. We packed mosquito repellent. We packed blankets. We
shot weapons for fun at camp.
We did. We actually had a rifle range at the camp I was at.
We did not go to camp and ask for the Wi-Fi password.
We did not know what Wi-Fi was at that point.
So I'm saying.
No.
We didn't have cell phone policies at camp.
We didn't have cell phones, Jeremy.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. We've lost the beauty of camp.
You're right.
When the coolest thing that happened at camp was, did someone get bit by a snake? I
That's-
don't know.
Or who got thrown in the pool.
Yeah. It's my thing about...
Let's face it, our camp was boring.
Okay.
Okay.
You're right. And if you
Okay.
don't want camp to be boring this year, that was a really bad commercial. You can order Help My Game Stink by my man John Forrest. He helps camps be a little bit more fun. And evidently that's what people want these days, is fun at camp.
John Forrest can't show up to every camp, but his book can.
There you go. And if he did show up at camp, it would be amazing.
It would be amazing.
But his book is just as good. I hope you guys enjoy it. Listen, hold on. Probably none of that was useful. I probably should start over.
Probably not.
This is the... Stop.
We're really starting over.
I am. This is the family ministry podcast that helps you connect the church and home. I'm going to tell you, how when you... Because we're talking...
You jumped right into this thing. I love it. This is awesome. Okay. Our audience, they don't know that this is like take number 4 we're working on right now.
This is the family ministry podcast that helps you connect the church and home.
Take number 5.
No, this is a... Where are we going to lunch today? I need motivation. This is the family ministry podcast that helps you connect church and home. And Ron, today our guest is David Huey. Do you know that person?
I do know David Huey. In fact, David Huey's been to D6 conference multiple times, and he hosted the D6 Connect tour for us in 2017, and you should see his church.
Is it
not
awesome?
Your typical? Yes, it is awesome. Not your typical church. When you drive onto his church, you drive into an underground parking lot. And
For
then,
real?
yeah, I mean, this is in a unique neighborhood, and it is a beautiful, beautiful church, and it's amazing what they have done with their campus. And so he hosted the D6 Connect tour last year, and his church is living out an intentional discipleship ministry. He's written a booklet about this. He spoke at D6 last year for us as well. So, yeah, very talented guy, very impressive.
Do you happen to know what college he went to?
I do not. I have a feeling this has to do with what you were sharing with us last week.
My man David Huey is a fellow Choctaw of Mississippi College, my alma mater.
Ooh, I did not know that.
I did not remember David as a grown man because, I mean, we've all changed, right, since college. He's a little younger than me.
You were in there at the same time or close to the same time?
And he sat down for this interview, and he goes, hey, man, we went to college together. And immediately we started to chant, born in the backwoods, raised by a bear, got a double set of teeth and a triple set of hair. I got great big muscles and I stand real tall. I'm a mean mother. I'm a Choctaw.
Wow.
Why
don't we have that recorded on here?
That is the best.
Is that recorded? Will they hear this?
Ever. No,
that was
off
edited
air
out.
Because
okay.
it was spontaneous, and it was
if only people knew what did not make it to the show. They don't even realize we're on take number 7 right now on this episode.
No, we're not. This is the first take.
This is 7. I've counted,
and we're not stopping because I want lunch.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So David Huey is awesome. Immediately we reconnected it, and that's for me what made this interview extremely special. Yes, though he has a lot. Let me say this: he has a strategic brain.
He does.
So if you have a strategic brain, you're gonna love David. If you don't have a strategic brain, you're gonna love David because he's gonna help you get better. And he has a family ministry strategy for his church that is unique and specific to his church, but for sure you can learn from it and inspire you to kind of build and grow your strategy for your church and family ministry.
And some people with strategic brains do not always communicate clearly, and he does.
That's true.
He's got both gifts.
That's true. So my man David Huey is going to be with us. We also today want to talk about visionary parenting. Now, that's not going to be a new thing to some people because visionary parenting has been a very good book. It has done well for you guys. And Dr. Rob Reno has been with you a long time as part of D6.
10 plus years.
But you guys have come out with a new, revised, and expanded version of Visionary Parenting, and we want to make sure people know about that.
Absolutely. You know, when Rob wrote Visionary Parenting the first time, 10, 11, 12 years ago now, it was published 10 years ago, so he was in the writing stages of this 12 years ago, he did not have teenagers. His oldest right now is, in college, and now he has a lot more experience, a lot more insight. And by the way, I want to give Rob credit. We just completed the D6 Connect Tour 2018, and on the first leg of that, his wife and 18-year-old second oldest child, Lissy, were speakers on this Connect Tour.
Wow.
Wow is an understatement. They are amazing speakers. Amy has been interviewed here on the podcast before, never Lissy, but she will be in the near future.
Yeah.
She was Dr. Moody, Amy Reno, Lissy, and myself were the 4 speakers on week 1 of the Connect Tour. The favorite speaker, hands down, sorry, Amy, it was Lissy. She was poised, insightful, vulnerable, but so she captured the teenager's perspective of the intentionality of her parents. And so this book embodies this whole family and what they're writing. And to go a step further, you remember when we were recording episode 100 and 101, where we brought in that incredible panel, one of the questions that our team, we took that panel over to a dinner, had all of the families from Randall House, our spouses, everybody came out for that night that we ate.
Yes.
They asked questions, and one of the questions was, what 1 or 2 books would you truly recommend? 3 of those speakers said this book, Visionary Parenting. When you hear people like, Dr. Richard Ross, and you hear John Trent and all these say, you need to read Visionary Parenting. Brian Haynes said the same thing. That should speak volumes. So if this book sits on your shelf, order the updated, expanded version.
Because what they were recommending was the version prior to him parenting teenagers.
That's
so now there's added, the concepts, which were amazing, have now been enriched with experience.
Yes. So this is a must top 5 read book for family ministry. Must have it.
Well, there you go. You can go to d6family.com to grab and learn that book and learn more. But for now, we're going to take a break. And after the break, though, my fellow Choctaw, Go MC, David Huey will be back with us to talk about developing a family ministry strategy and specifically teaching us what he's doing in his church that we can learn from. We'll see you guys after the break.
Practical Family Ministry is a collection of ideas for your church that offers practical and encouraging advice to those who want to make an impact in family ministry. Readers are reminded of the God-designed channels through which discipleship should occur, the church and the home. Parents, as well as ministry leaders, will be equipped to do their part to carry out the spiritual discipline of discipleship. Visit d6family.com to order your copy today.
So our next guest, when he walked up here to me, he said, I think we went to college together. We talked for a second, and we realized we did. Go Choctaws, Mississippi
Choctaws.
College. David Huey is our guest. He is the husband to Amy, father to two beautiful redheaded children.
Yes, we're repopulating the earth with redheaded kids.
So is Amy redheaded? Or
No, I don't. It's
wait,
beyond
what?
us. Yeah.
Nobody's truly redheaded. I mean,
I had my best friend was, but I trust him. So no, no. My wife's dad was a redhead.
So that's the source.
Yeah, that's it.
Perfect. He's the family pastor at Park Cities Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas, drawing from 20 years of experience on the mission field, student ministry, and now ministry to parents. David seeks to find practical ways for families to live out their faith at home, spends half of his ministry working to strengthen marriages, and this is true, believing that a healthy marriage promotes healthy parents. And we miss that sometimes. That's like a step one, isn't it, to family ministry?
That was before you even asked me questions, I think that was the missing piece when I started trying to figure out what family ministry would look like when my church came to me and said, okay, we want you to run with this, but we don't really know what it looks like, so just create it from scratch. And we wanted to keep going, okay, we want to equip parents to be good parents, we want to help them, but there was something like, there's something a little missing. And it was actually sitting at a conference similar to this, a lot smaller, but this whole idea of marriage ministry, and I realized, that's it. It's a healthy marriage will always promote, or typically will promote, a healthy parent. And so that's really become the highlight of my ministry is helping marriages stay together, and it's pretty fantastic. I actually really love it. So
I love that we don't have to separate it.
No,
it's actually
absolutely
kind
not.
of a new thought to me that might be a nice origin point for someone who's thinking of how can we get this family ministry started? Well, maybe you could start with where the family actually starts, which
That's right.
A family starts with a marriage.
That's right. We've heard the saying, garbage in, garbage out, or whatever else. You can't produce what you're not putting in. So if you're not growing in the Lord, if you're not having your daily quiet time, you're probably not going to be able to teach your kids spiritual disciplines or spiritual matters. You can't reproduce what you don't have in you. And same thing with a healthy marriage. You can't produce happiness and joy in the midst of your kids a lot of times if there's chaos in your marriage. And so we really kind of bank on that at Park Cities, and it's been really kind of a cool transition in our church to kind of move towards that direction.
I love it. What are some of the elements of a practical family ministry plan? Because that's kind of our theme today. We're going to talk about how to build and I love you. I think your emphasis is practical. I think what you're trying to say here is it's nice to have all these different methodologies, but in the end, it's got to actually work in the church, and that's what you're here to help us with.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to define it with the same word, but practical is the key. Being a practical family ministry is being practical. So I think a lot of times pastors like myself, we're guilty of coming to a conference like D6 or any other conference, and you're hearing all these great ideas, and you start thinking about, well, here's what families ought to do. So I'm going to go tell families what to do. And we go back to our churches and we tell them, hey, here's what you should do. You should live by Deuteronomy 6, or you should follow in the footsteps of Psalm 78, or whatever it is that we push all these ideas, and then we go, okay, go do that. And they just look at us like, what are you talking about? And so we really strive to make sure that we could give you very easy and attainable goals within our family ministry. So we don't only say, hey, this is what you ought to be doing. Let me give you 5 or 6 things this year that you need to accomplish in your home. Very easy sometimes, very easy things. So it's learning just how to pray with your child at night at bed, or how to get them in your lap and read the Bible with them, or whatever it is. But give them something that they can actually attain and win. I feel like they've accomplished something. So it is these very practical and easy steps, I think, that kind of make that successful. No one wants to live in the theoretical, I don't think. I mean, there's few of us that would, but most of us want, give me something to do. Especially dads. I would say that, give a dad a checklist. Give a dad 3 or 4 things. I can do that. He'll accomplish it and make himself feel like he's really done something good. So
instead of fighting against dads and the way their brains are wired,
that's right.
Roll with it.
That's right.
I love that idea. I'm a big believer in that as well. All right, so what are the mistakes we need to avoid? Because as we try to be practical, we could possibly mess this up. So, I mean, have you ever made any mistakes that we can avoid?
Yeah, 1 or 2. Or
I set you up on that one, didn't I?
Yeah, no.
What if you said, no, Jeremy, no, I haven't made any?
Yeah, no. I think, one, not every step that we give a parent works. I think we dream and think about great ideas of what we want our families to do, and then it ends up just not working well for whatever reason, whatever schedule. But I would say, mistakes that I made moving too fast. We were so anxious to implement a family ministry strategy or plan into our church that I think we launched it out there. We're running down the field, with the ball per se, and people weren't running with us at first. I mean, they knew the concept was good. They just didn't quite know how to grasp it. And so I would say, we moved really, really fast. So I would say start slow. Start with things that you know. If you've got elements in your church that work, that promote the family and help strengthen the family, start there. Maybe make those better. You don't even really have to launch something that's formal to make it a family ministry plan. You don't have to come out with a slick brochure or something cool. You just start giving parents practical things and being intentional with them. So,
what about families in crisis? We've being practical, being simple, making it easy. All these things, that's good. But then we have these families that are in crisis, and as we build a family ministry plan, because none of that is simple or easy, and it involves time, effort, and energy. So how do we handle that?
Yeah, I would answer it 2 ways. One, I would first say that's actually probably one of the biggest struggles with offering something like this in a church, because it almost becomes insider talk. We want to almost take care of our own. We want our Christian parents to raise our Christian kids, and a lot of families in our community or our neighborhood aren't even connected to a church. So when they come into your body and you expect them to live out Deuteronomy 6, but they have no background of that, or it's complete chaos at home, or they're a single parent family, or broken family, or blended family, that's where, honestly, the rubber kind of meets the road. It's pretty difficult. So I would say, one, you've got to be intentional. We're a church that keeps our student ministry. We promote our children's ministry, and we really push to have good and intentional workers in all of those ministries, so that we're not just going out there and saying, okay, mom and dad, it's all on you, and you've got to take care of this. We still also have great youth workers and children's workers who are stepping up to the plate and mentoring kids. And then the second part is, again, goes back to the marriage ministry that we launched. It's why we launched that, because we know that there are broken homes. And that has been the case over the last 3 years, that we've reached families, we've restored marriages. Through that, we've seen them come into our church and join our church and fall in love with Jesus, maybe for the first time, through all of that. So that's been fantastic. So I would say, one, you've got to keep your eye open. You got to be a listening ear. You can't just assume that every parent is willing and ready to follow in your footsteps of a ministry plan, and just give them every tool you can to kind of help them out.
Perfect. what about outreach? That is an element of family ministry that I like to say family ministry is the perfect outreach ministry, because if you go and reach families that aren't connected to the church, it's easier than people think, right? Because you can just offer to help them in their families, and if you create that help, they join the church eventually.
Yeah, we hope so. That actually has been a cool outreach for us. I mean, part of our family ministry strategy at our church is, we offer talks on how to talk to your kids about sex. Well, it doesn't matter if you're a part of a church or not. Every parent typically wants to be able to be equipped for that. And so we say, look, if you've got a 10-year-old, that's coming. Maybe even sooner than that. So we want to equip you to be ready for when that takes place, or those awkward junior high years when their kids are hitting puberty and there's a lot of change going on, and mom and dads want to be able to know how to navigate that. And that's not even a Christian principle. It's just mom and dads want to know, how can I survive this, and how can I help my kid make it through this part of their life. And so you can offer those tools. It's been interesting in my own life even. My kids go to public school. We're a very racially diverse school that my kids go to. And we've already had conversation with the principal that, hey, this is what my job is we try to equip parents to be better parents. And so we're looking for ways, even in the public school system now, of, hey, maybe David could come in and teach sex education, and of course, I can then bring in Christian elements and start getting that out there, and start hopefully opening the doors for, hey, here's who we are, come visit us and come see us. So I think it is a little bit easier than most people would expect.
How do you cast vision for family ministry? Give us some tips on that.
I'm still learning, honestly, on that, how to cast vision. I think you have to just keep putting it in front of people. I was very fortunate at our church at Park Cities. When I was hired in this position, our pastors came to me and said, you almost have to talk about this until you're annoying. And I took that as a challenge. So in every staff meeting, it's, okay, well, how is this going to affect the families? And you can almost kind of sense sometimes, like, the other staff members kind of rolling their eyes and kind of joking, here he goes again. But that really is true, because we tend to forget we're not serving our community in a vacuum. We're not just trying to reach a teenager, or we're not just trying to reach an elementary. We're trying to reach a whole family unit. And so you just have to keep reminding people. So it's any chance that you can get. When we have trainings with our leaders in our children's ministry or in our youth ministry, we're always trying to point it back to what we're trying to accomplish with our family ministry strategy. I'm not the head pastor at our church, so I'm always trying to get it in front of him. Hey, this would be a great sermon to bring this up again and talk about it, and just reinforce it over and over and over again. And I feel like we're just now, after a couple of years, starting to get traction with that. So it's going to take a long, long time. You just have to stay with it, be relentless, and almost be annoying, what I'm saying? So,
man, there's a lot of things you've said today I love, but I think if I'm a listener, I want to make sure the listeners heard. Your concept of just being dadgum practical is, you know what? I interview a lot of people, they don't talk in that language, because there's usually people want to have some kind of program, plan, some kind of, let's get them to do this, then they'll do this, then they'll do this, then they'll do this, then everything will be done. For you to just engage in the way you're doing, and for you to begin with marriage ministry, these are things that I think our listeners are going to take and use and learn. So I really appreciate you serving us that way today. David, how can they find you online? If somebody is interested and curious and wants to learn more, how can they get in touch with you?
I think maybe my Twitter is the easiest to find. It's David Huey YM from my old youth pastor days.
There you go. And Huey is Huey.
Huey, that's right. Or our church, pcbc.org. They could always go there, find me there.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, his name's David Huey. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know I've enjoyed being with you. Thank you, sir.
Before you know it, everyone will be busy with vacations, camps, and VBS as summer starts. But that doesn't mean discipleship has to take a break. With D6 devotional study guides, discipleship can be taken with your families wherever they go this summer. The guides provide the perfect launch pad for parents to have key spiritual conversations with their children. These study guides are available for every age group and all focus on the same biblical passage or topic, making it easy for busy families to connect around Scripture. Discipleship doesn't have to take a summer break. D6 devotional study guides help families take discipleship with them wherever they go. Learn more at d6family.com.
Well, thank you, David Huey. I told you guys he was a strategic guy. I hope you got to see that in that interview, experience that. I hope you're feeling inspired. I hope you took good notes. And now, I want to talk a little bit. We did not. I'm about to throw something we didn't prepare.
Uh-oh. I'm always in trouble when you do that.
But you wrote the book DNA of D6.
Yeah.
And that really is about developing family ministry strategy as well.
It is.
So kind of if I was listening and I just started listening to our podcast, I'm just getting this whole family ministry thing. I understand that it's important, but I need to move from understanding that it's important to actually executing it in my church. What's the first step you'd recommend I take?
Get more people involved in the process. Don't try to lead that charge alone. Number one, missed step to any change is trying to tackle the change with your own wisdom, your own knowledge, your own communication, a single sermon, whatever, or a series of sermons. The key is get multiple people in there understanding it, whether or not they read that book together with you, they attend a conference with you, you have just strategy sessions to where you bring a key group of influencers on board. When you bring them on board, the change is going to begin to happen, and don't miss that step. That's number one.
That's perfect. Well, hey, another thing you can do is keep listening to this
absolutely.
podcast. And thanks for listening today. Hope you guys have a great week of ministry.
You've been listening to the D6 Podcast. You can learn more about D6 at d6family.com. And if you're a minister, we invite you to join the D6 Leader Network by going to d6leader.net.